wrote in
like 3 years.
3 years. Wow.
Yes.
So this is truly a party.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Excellent. So can you tell us a little bit about the Guide to the Dragon World?
Yeah, absolutely. So people have been asking me for this for a while. Something that's like all the details of the world, basically. But I kept saying I can't write it until we've met all the Pantalan tribes, right? Like I wanted to include all 10 tribes in both continents. And then as we started working on it, sort of the original plan was that it would feel very like nonfiction. Like here's the details of like what they eat here, how this language works. And then as we got into it, I love writing stories. Everything is a story to me. So I was like, what if I also included like little details like this? And then I was like, what if the whole thing was Starflight's like exciting plan? Like this is Starflight's book. He looked at the guide to the Dragon World that he had and was like, this was only written by like one tribe and they didn't get everything right. And what we need to do is get the voices of every tribe involved so that they can tell their own stories, which I feel like is what I'm doing with the whole series. Like I really want everyone to feel like they can tell a story in this world, and that every story is important, and like anyone can save the world. It doesn't have to be just like one chosen one. Like everybody can be part of it. And that's one of the things I love about fan fiction. Are there any fan fiction writers out there who love to write? Oh yay, that makes me really happy. Because my secret, like overarching plan is to write the kinds of books that I want to read, and then like have you guys read them, and then turn you into writers who write more books that I want to read. So whenever you get time, but I can't wait to read your books one day. Is my thing. And so this I'm hoping is kind of like a helper for fan fiction writers. Like it will give you like details that maybe aren't in the books, or that expanding on those tribe questions you might have. And it also includes a bunch of stories. Because there were things I wanted to tell that I hadn't gotten to. People kept asking me questions like, so who married Queen Scarlet? And how did that go? And the answer is not very well.
I think that was one of the questions that people asked.
Well, the answer's in here. And so there's like lots of, so there's like sort of examples of, like other stories going on in this world that didn't make it into the books. And that's what I hope it feels like for anyone who wants to write fan fiction, is that they could jump in and write their own stories. Maybe seeing, like, if any of this inspires that would make me really happy. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is like this is an amazing showcase for Joy's art. Joy Ang does all the cover art, and we got her to do some like amazing extra art for the books. But you all have them on your laps, you can see it. But like she just did these like beautiful like extra portraits of the queens for each tribe. And not just Joy, but there's a designer at Scholastic who's been working on Wings of Fire since the beginning. And I just want everyone to like think about it while you look through this amazing that he made so beautiful. His name is Phil. And like he's so great at like bringing it all together. And this was a lot of work for him because it's very designed. Like, and I kept being like, actually this, and actually can we add a swap on this page? I can make that happen. And I want it to look burned, and I want like different handwriting. So he was super patient, and he made it really beautiful. So like I feel like it's an homage, yeah. I just hope everyone who reads it can stop for a minute and appreciate Joy and Phil and how much work they put into these books.
And what year was the first one published?
Well, I know I turned in the outline in 2010, because that's when my son was born, my first son. And then I think the first book came out in 2012. So it's been a little over 10 years.
Congratulations, Tui. Made so many people happy. And someone even compared you to Taylor Swift. If you had to meet Tui or Taylor Swift, they would choose you.
I would not be performing in a thunderstorm now.
No. So a lot of kids wanted to know if there's going to be another story arc.
I think I can say yes. Yes. We're talking about that right now. Sort of how far forward to go, like which characters to focus on. If you have any like special requests, I'm actually open to hearing those because I'm kind of curious about who people want to see and like who hasn't had a book yet, or like which tribes need more attention. Like we haven't spent enough time with the Mudwings, obviously. what happened to Umber? Can we please go hang out with him for a while? But also, like, I want to get all the little dragons together. I want, like, Bumblebee and Mink and Peacemaker and Aqua and Cliff to, like, get together and cause some havoc. So those are all kind of, like, the ideas, like, rattling around in my head. Obviously, it's going to be a little while. I'm working on a non-Wings of Fire book in the middle, so I'm writing that first, and then I'll be doing more Wings of Fire.
That is amazing. And can you tell us anything about the other working on?
Well, it's funny because, like, I normally don't talk about what I'm writing while I'm writing it, but I've been telling people some things because I'm like, if I tell enough people, then I have to finish it. So I think I can say it's science fiction, there's a spaceship, and there's a murder mystery. That's what I'm hoping. I watch like, we actually get to like the end of it, and it turns out it's not a murder mystery, and it's just like people hanging out on a spaceship and cutting each other. Where's the murder? We'll see. I'm still in progress. Yeah, we'll see.
Sounds amazing. Excellent. Let's see. So this is from Milani. She's 8 years old, and she is Milani here. Yes, they came all the way from New Jersey to it. It's so cool. And she loves Wings of Fire because there are so many different tribes, and she likes the dragon names. So she's wondering why the dragons look happier in the graphic novels, and in the chapter books they all look mad.
Well, that actually is a really good question because it relates to like design and like how you like promote a book, right? So I think when the series first started, Phil and Joy actually were the two that like started talking about like, well, what should the covers look like? Like, what should a dragon look like? And I had some very specific ideas in my head, but I didn't have to do much like giving them very many notes because Joy was perfect basically from the beginning. And I think that they wanted the dragons to look really fierce because I think a lot of kids who love dragons love that aspect, right? That they're like, right, I'm just gonna set things on fire if I'm mad. And like, kind of, you know, there are dragons in this world that do that, but there's also a lot of like huggable dragons. So once you get into the graphic novels, I think especially like when you get to see them like in their day-to-day lives, because there's all the way through those, you get to see more of the like kinkajou dragons and the dragons that are more smiley, happy dragons. But I mean, but we all know the dragons on the covers are mostly pretty happy. They were posing for those.
Yes, they're being taken at their fiercest.
Right, exactly.
Awesome. So, I don't know if you can do this. So is there a character, this is from Ella, she's 12 years old. Is there a character that you connect with or shared your personality?
Oh, well, a little bit all of them. Like I always try to give like every character I write like something that I connect with, so that I care about them, you know, so they're not too distant from me. And it's something different for each of them. So like Tsunami is like my bossy older sister side. You know, Laura is probably like a little cooler. Like she's like the cool character I want to be. The one I'm probably the most like is Sunny, for sure. Like if I found out I was in a prophecy and I got to save the world, I'd be super excited. So, you know, but or like I'm a bookworm. There's a lot of bookworms in the series. You'll notice. So like Starflight and Moon and Cricket, we all have that in common. So there's a little bit of me in each of them, I'd say. But Sunny is usually the one I think of.
That was awesome. So Leonora is 10, and she would like to know, do you have a special writing routine, like a certain time of day, which we know now you're a night owl, or a certain place that you usually write best?
Yes, I have a little room in my house that's full of dragons. Because people keep getting me dragons, and I'm like, okay, my husband's like, do they have to go everywhere else in the house? Like, is the whole house gonna be dragons? Yeah, I was like, but most of them, my favorite, like there's just a lot of dragons to inspire me, like all over my office. It's a small room. And so my ideal writing day is that so I sleep in, my husband takes the kids to school, and then I get up and I have my coffee and I write for a couple of hours. And one of the pieces of my writing routine is to get myself going. I'll do a crossword puzzle. And I especially love doing the Monday New York Times crossword puzzle because it's not about challenging myself, it's about words coming really fast. So I like to do that one to set myself off.
Can you do the mini?
I sometimes do the mini, but
I do
the
the
mini
mini
is too short for me.
But I do it, and that's what I start my day the same way. It's like the spelling bee, the mini, but I try to do it under a minute.
Oh, okay. I do, before I do the crossword, I do the Wordle, and then I do connections, which is my new favorite.
That's my new favorite. I wasn't on the page. Like, it's so much, I didn't see it on the page, and I'm like, where did it go? Did you not see it either? Like the other day, it wasn't on the thing. It was
like a link up that's like the beta, so that's how I get to it.
I found it at the bottom. It is my favorite.
And it's good. It like gets your brain, sort of wakes up your brain. But yeah, the Monday crossword is usually I can usually do it in about 5 to 7 minutes, and so that makes me feel like okay, I'm ready. Like all the words have moved to the front of my head. And I can like now I can put them on paper, and so then I'll write for a little while, and then I'll get the kids, and we'll have like the rest of the day with them. And then after they go to bed, I love to write again from like 11 to it's more like 2 or 3, but unless I'm on a deadline, that's like 4.
Awesome. Let's see. So this was a great question. It was from, where is it? Look at that, I printed all these things. Samantha. So she wanted to know, what advice would you give her about writing books, and if it was okay for her to write dragon stories, which now we know yes, because
I want there to be more dragons.
yes, wanted to be more dragons, and then the rest of the question was, do you like cats?
Of course, I love cats. I mean, we have dogs. I have family members that are allergic to cats, so we can't have one, but I love them. Sure, of course. With writing, I think it's a great way to start writing fan fiction. So my first novel, I would call Shakespeare fan fiction. Like I took the play A Midsummer Night's Dream and I set it in a high school in New Jersey, and just like rewrote it from like Hermia and Helena's point of view. But I think it's a great way to get started because you don't have to start from scratch, right? If you have a world that you love, or even a character that you love, or you want to make up a character to meet that character that you love, it's not like starting from a blank page. So it's a really good way to get started. And I think my overall writing advice is just to do it like for fun and don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. Like I never finished anything. Does anyone have love starting stories but have trouble finishing them? That's super normal. That was 100% me. I would start a story, I would give it to my sister, and then I would get excited about something else and go write a different story, and she would be so mad because she was like, "Where's the rest of this one?" So I think that's okay because it's like learning an instrument. Like you're still practicing. You're like getting better with everything that you write. And writing should be fun. Like I feel like you should do it because you love it, and not because you're like, oh, I got to get a book published and like make some money off this. So I think that just writing because you love it and like stories that get you excited. So that's kind of why I'm writing this science fiction book because there's so much great science fiction right now. Oh my God, I'm like in love with like Martha Wells' Murderbot books and Becky Chambers' books are so great. And I was like, I want to play. I want to go to the future of outer space and write some books there too. So I think anything that like you're like, if you would definitely pick up that book, like write your own version, right? Like if you're like, what always gets me excited about a book? If it's dragons, that's awesome. Like yeah, write some dragon stories.
That is amazing. So Nazreen would like to know, are you ever planning to do a Scorching Legends book?
Good question. I mean, I have a lot of the story in book 15. Like you finally get to see pretty much everything that happened. So I have to have like a character who was around then that like had a different experience from what's in the book in order to tell that story. And it's I wouldn't say no because anything is possible. I don't have a specific plan for that yet. There's other things like that where I've kind of told like what happened to Clearsight when she got to Pantala, but there's probably more to that story if I wanted to go back to it. All those ideas are always in there that I'm like, if I want to go back to that, maybe I will. Yeah.
That is awesome. So Michaela would like to know, where is your favorite library to visit?
Oh. Well, I live nearby, so I'm in the Minuteman library system. I have a couple of amazing libraries not too far from me, and I could like live in a library and be happy.
Me too. I love that. So, is there a Wings of Fire TV series in the works?
Oh my gosh. Guess what, you guys? It's really hard to make a TV show, it turns out. Yeah, I kind of knew that. I probably too much television. And so I'm always interested in like the process. And so I have been aware for a long time of how complicated it is. But now having gone through a bunch of some of it, like it's so much harder than you think. Like there's so many people that can just shut it down like along the way, and so many people that have to care about it and make it happen. Anyway, long story short, I've always said that it's like a 50-step process to go from the book to the TV show, and like we got to step like 15, and then we got sent back to step 2. But we are like step 3 or 4 maybe. Like we're talking about it again. There's some hope. So I can't say anything official, but I think it's still a distinct possibility.
Distinct possibility. That's a really good answer. Dylan is 10, and they would like to know, what is your favorite type of dragon you created?
Of all the tribes? Well, I love them all. They're my babies. But I guess I always say I want to be a ringling because I like to sleep a lot, and I totally want a pet sloth. Me too. That's probably what I didn't picture myself. But I really liked writing the leaf wings. That was one that I liked imagining what those tribes were like. And the other one I'd say is the ice wings. Like I would not want to be an ice wing, but it was really cool, like getting into their culture, like in book 7, and figuring out like everything that's happening with them. And that graphic novel is actually coming in December, so that's not too far away.
Wow, so exciting!
Really pretty.
Okay, these are great questions. I can't lose my questions. I should not have printed them on the back and forth.
You know page numbers.
I know, I do. So Connor and Peter would like to know, do dragons shed their skin like snakes?
Oh, great question. I have not written them that way. I mean, yeah, no, I have not written them that way. I think that there are definitely dragons who could do that. Like if you wanted to write a dragon story like that, it would be kind of interesting. Like,
That would be interesting. And their second question was, I like this one. Are the villains inspired by real people? That's a great question.
I mean, this is a very dangerous question to answer. I would say there are aspects of people that I find reprehensible that I occasionally give to my dragons. I wouldn't say anyone is like specifically a specific person, but I think there's a certain quality of like smugness that I like to my dragons that are villains, and also like a lack of empathy, which I think is like key to being a villain. So, but nobody specific.
Yes, I think this person may be really bad. I'm going to make them a villain. So Aria is 10 and said, since you wrote some of the Warriors books as well as Wings of Fire, how did you keep similar themes while still making them different?
Oh, interesting question. Warriors was very different because it was a whole team working on those books. And I was the editor for the Warriors books when they first started. But there was like a central person who would come up with the ideas, and then 2 other people who would take turns writing them. So it was like the 4 of us like working on those books, and then people got sort of added over time. And when I left editing to be a full-time writer, they asked me to join the team because they were spinning Warriors off into the Seekers books, which are the Bears ones. So they had me write a Warriors field guide, and like to test out that I could sound like Aaron Hunter, which like I read a lot of Aaron Hunter by then, so I was like, I should hope so. And then they liked it enough that they had me write like 3 of the Seekers books. So I never I think the similarity is that it's animal fantasy, and so I learned a lot from the whole idea of like putting yourself in an animal perspective and making it feel a little different from being a human. But I think thematically they're pretty different. I feel like with Wings of Fire, I had some very specific ideas about like destiny and like free will that I wanted to focus on, and the whole idea of like a group of people saving the world, or like not just a group, but like everybody being responsible for a tiny part of saving the world. So I think I do feel like the themes are really different, but I also feel like so grateful to like the Aaron Hunter original team for including me. I feel like I learned a lot.
So were you guys like all in the same room together?
No, almost never. They were all in England.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's one that I never met. and then one that came to tour once, and then the main one, we were like always talking, so she came to my wedding. So I did get to meet her. She's very lovely.
Oh, that's amazing. So Leonora has a question. She's 10. Have you always loved writing, and how old were you when you started writing stories?
Oh, yes, I have always loved writing. It was definitely like one of the first things I thought I wanted to do with my life, and I know that because like I found a piece of paper that I wrote when I was like 5 that was like, my name is Tui Sutherland, and one day I'm going to be a famous author, and I'm going to write poems and stories, and my first book will be called Poems and Stories by Tui Sutherland. It's a genius. I can't believe I haven't written that yet. So from a very early age, I was like, this is my plan. I think that like, I used to read a lot of biographies of authors, like Louise May Alcott, and like Anna Green Gables was super formative for me. Like, if she wanted to be a writer, I was like, yes, this is the person I want to be. And so I think there was just, a part of me that was always interested in that. And there was also, I do remember feeling like, the great thing about being an author is that you can be famous, but no one will know who you are, because they'll never see your face. And then things like this happen. I'm like, oh, plan foiled. Actually, it was the internet. The internet like foiled my plan completely.
You're probably pretty recognizable. And have you written fan fiction?
I wish, this is like the one thing that makes me wish I had been a kid now, because I feel like there's so many like fan fiction communities that I would have been so much fun to be a part of. So probably like some of what I was writing would qualify as fan fiction, but I didn't have that concept in my head. I remember one book I read that made me really mad, so I rewrote the ending. That kind of is fan fiction. I was just infuriated by it. And like one of the other early stories I remember writing came out of a fight I had with my sister. She's 2 years younger than me, so of course we fought all the time. But also she's my best friend and she's awesome. But also she moved to California, so I'm super mad at her. But we had this argument when we were really little about these fridge magnets. I can't remember if mine was the ice cream sundae and hers was the rainbow, or vice versa. I think that's what it was, because I feel like I wanted the rainbow. And so of course she got it. So we had this fight where every time we went in the kitchen, we'd move ours higher than the other. Very logical kid fight. And so she kept doing it, and she gets so mad. So I wrote this whole story about how ice cream is better than rainbows, and the ice cream warriors like won against the rainbows. That's not quite fan fiction, it's like refrigerator magnet fan fiction.
And did you ever show it to your sister?
Oh yeah. Oh, that was the whole point. Now read this. I have officially won.
Do you still fight with your sister?
It's harder because she's in California.
Yeah. This is true.
No, she's awesome. We actually wrote a trilogy together. My other book, the Menagerie trilogy.
Yes.
Which is all about like mythical creatures. She had a lot of fun because like she could finally make me finish something. There's an editor waiting for this now. She's awesome to work with actually. She's like has great ideas and like is just full of energy, and every time I got stuck I could chat her. And she also, because the one upside I will allow of her living in California, she was still awake when I was writing at 2 a.m.
Isn't that the best part? When you're up late and then, yes, because my mom and a lot of my friends are in California too, and so, gosh, I'm bored. What am I gonna do? Oh, I'm in California just 3 hours earlier. I'll tell mom.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we'll get to the signing, and thank you so much for this, Tui. This is just amazing, and I'm so happy you're here to kick off your school.